Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside in Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Hello, welcome. I am beyond excited to introduce to you today Brandin Bowen, who is a phenomenal coach who works in the realm of shadow work. So audience members, Brandon's one of the first people I've actually brought on who talks about the shadow side. We're usually in this current day and age, we're encouraged to embrace the happy parts, right? To be, oh no. Don't think about the sad things. Don't confront the negative parts. Those parts, if you just ignore them, will go away. And I've discovered in my journey that doesn't necessarily happen. It's really important to work with those parts of you. And so, Brandon, if you wouldn't mind sharing with my audience what you do, and also specifically, you have this amazing event coming up. And audience members, if you're watching this after event, don't worry, Brandon does repeat this particular retreat. So get in touch with her no matter what and avail yourself of this opportunity. Go ahead, Brandon. Tell us about the Dancing Shadows retreat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. It's awesome to be here. This is my very first podcast video, anything. So I'm really excited and a little nervous, and that's cool. So, well, it's funny that I feel like a lot of people maybe put shadow into a negative connotation, and that's not always the truth. Sometimes we hide in our shadow. So let me back up a minute. What is shadow? Shadow comes from Jungian theory. It's one of the archetypes that is so if persona is what we show the world, shadow is what we hide. And what we can keep in our shadow sometimes is, maybe our more unsavory bits. Sometimes it's like that angry teenager or that, acting up little child who got hurt and wasn't taken care of when they were young. Yeah, and sometimes those bits can come out in not the best, most happy, fun, acceptable ways. Um, but at the same time, they are still parts of us and they're just wounded bits that need a little bit of love. And at the same time, what also can be true is that people can keep their joy in the shadow. They can keep their happiness in the shadow. They can keep their beauty and their light in the shadow, which is also quite sad. I find, if they maybe they were told when they were young that they're not allowed to, they're not worthy of joy. They're not worthy of happiness. And so they have kept these parts of themselves locked away. And so at the same time, we can turn to those parts as well. So, I would like to look at it more as like they're all just emotions and they're all just parts and they're not necessarily good or bad, negative, positive. They just are, right?
Oh, I love that.
So,
I love that, Brandon. I love that because folks, in order to heal, we need to be bringing together all the parts of us of who we are, right? And for me, as a person who I used to, because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, folks, and back in those days, it was you don't cry. You want me to give you something to cry about? That those were the things I grew up with. It was the put a sticker on it type of age, and even if you weren't from that generation, but you were raised by someone from there, there wasn't a lot of opportunity given to you to process quote unquote negative feelings because we didn't even know how to handle it ourselves from that generation. We were never encouraged. Now, audience members, you can read in the description all about Brandon's amazing biography, but I do want to bring in to connection in this conversation her experience as a craniosacral and somato emotional release therapist. Not just anyone can do this type of work. Here's the key, right? Because I remember doing a really cool, I was part of a troupe, and my troop leader wanted to do a gedra, which is an emotional release from a different culture. And she actually herself, even though she's an amazing leader in the troop, I didn't feel in retrospect she was someone that had trained in knowing how to help someone when they're going through an emotional release. And so I instinctively didn't feel safe to go, and I didn't go. And then I heard later on that someone hurt themselves during the actual situation that they participated in,
Thanks.
right? And I was kind of like relieved I didn't go then because I was prone to injury back then. Still am now too. However, I digress. The point of it is, Brandon, explain to us why it's important to do a shadow work with you particularly.
Well, yeah, thanks, Jenny. I have, yes, been working. I've been a body worker for about 23 years, and for the last 13 or so, I've been a craniosacral and somato-emotional release practitioner, which is training to actually help relieve body, excuse me, trauma from the body. So we all have emotional memory, and that we now know is like actually does get stored in our cells in our body. And I know it's just been uncovered more and more. And as the somatic healing world becomes more and more vast, we're all knowing that this is reality. We're storing this, we're carrying it around with us all day long. And so what I do, I'm a deep empath. I can read and feel people very well. My particular set of skills is to read bodies. I can read bodies with my hands, I can read bodies with my eyes. And I can through, over a decade of practicing this work, I've become quite skilled at being able to hold that really deep, deep space for a person to move through a traumatic experience in a really safe, held way, where they know that I'm a rock right there with them the whole time, and they're in a safe, held place. So yeah, it does give me, I guess, a place where, holding these sorts of retreats is something that I am skilled at doing. I have been, I call it the maybe the biggest honor and blessing of my life, really, to be able to be with people in these spaces, to be allowed to be with them in these transitions as they really step into the super like dark, scary places and come out the other side lighter, more in their body, more grounded, and more able to handle their lives. And I just get to see it on a day-to-day basis here in my office, and now with the retreats that we're hosting. So yeah, um, I can talk more about the retreats if you'd like.
Yes, we're going to talk about the retreats next. Excellent. They're based out in Portland. They're in person, correct?
They are in person. Well, the first one we did was down in Mount Shasta, and that was lovely. A really special, magical place. We will go back there as well. The next one's going to be about an hour outside of Portland at up in Mount Hood, and this is coming up April 23rd to 25th of 2025. Um,
Hmm. I'm so
and
excited. I get to be
so
a part of it, folks. So you don't have to be there in person. Well, you do need to attend it in person. I will be logging in online.
That's right. So, a very exciting addition that we have this year is that Jenny is going to be zooming in to bring us a very special embodiment piece that's also going to be helping us um, develop an energetic force field for protection. A lot of the women that I work with are identify as empaths, and being an empath can bring on a certain set of um I don't know, challenges we'll call it, like in the world. As you know, we're always taking in all of the energies all the time, and if we don't know how to deal with those, we don't know how to properly protect ourselves and decide which ones we want to bring in, which ones we don't want to bring in. And so it can be really overwhelming. And I work with a lot of women who find that they're like, maybe I am an empath, and maybe they didn't even know. They just know that they're overwhelmed, and their body is just like, no more. I can't take any more.
Yes.
And so what we will do is, really start to identify what is it to be an empath. Maybe you've been told that you're too sensitive, you're too emotional your whole life. And if that resonates with you, that could mean that maybe you're an empath. That's not anything wrong with you. One of the things I discovered when I realized that, oh my gosh, I'm an empath, and it's actually what makes me really good at what I do. And actually, it's my superpower. It's not like it's just me being too emotional to like cry too much or the too much that, like my brother all my life, oh, you're too sensitive. I'm like, you know what? I'm just sensitive enough.
Exactly, exactly. You're just sensitive enough. So, audience members, I want to bring to your attention the fact that the reason why also this is important, this type of an event to go to, is I have shifted into being searching for collaborators, teachers, students who are aware of the fact that there needs to be what's now called trauma informed care, meaning if I'm working with you, I'm well aware you may be coming to me for one thing. There's other events that may not be in your forefront of consciousness and now affecting how you're behaving today. And if I react a certain way or you react a certain way, it's often 80% of it is from something else that happened in the past. And if you formulated backup systems to keep you safe, right? So being trauma informed is also understanding that everybody has a very unique and individual life experience. And the culture of their family, no matter where they grew up, is also going to affect how they react to the situation. And you want someone that can be empathetically holding space for you, which is the only reason why I was like, oh, heck yes, Brandon, when she asked me, would you consider doing some type of a thing at my event? I was like, yes, because I knew she's done the work. She's not practicing on us on how to do the work, if that makes sense, audience. Okay. And then the other thing I want you to be aware of is when you are doing work similar to this type of, is it healing? It's more evolution. Being in community makes it more impactful, doesn't it, Brandon? Versus just doing it by
It
yourself.
certainly does. Absolutely, it does. Like I will never knock, one-on-one therapy. However, I do find that group work like this, it compounds the effect. Um, where we might be I might be working with a certain person, going through a process, and they're uncovering some things, but they're also being held by the group, and that group energy that's all around them is so potent and so powerful, and they get to walk away feeling really seen, really heard, and really held in that really intimate space that never will be recreated exactly like that again. And it's going to be such a special bond between those women, which really brings me to one of the reasons why I really am inspired to create these groups. I work with women all the time who come in and they're like, I really don't have a support network of women who I can trust, who I believe in, like who believe in me, who I can say like the deeper things to, and not be worried that they're going to judge me or put me down. And I find that to be really sad. And I have a lot of amazing women in my life, and I was like, well, I can create that. And so it's become one of my missions to bring women together into these sacred spaces so that they can find that intimate trust and bond with each other. And I just love hearing about the women who've been in my groups, who are still friends and connecting on their own. And I just love that so much.
Yes. Oh, I love that too. I think what's so important. I mean, I grew up, right? My generation, women are catty. That was the stereotype. What
Yeah,
is this crab mentality? If one woman's doing better, everyone's going to pull her down because no one wants to see her succeed. That's literally my generation.
absolutely.
It's just a reality. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, folks, because there were so few women succeeding beyond this realization there was a glass ceiling for women in anything, right? There was also this adage, oh, but there's only a few spots for you. So you're going to have to fight amongst yourselves to see who's the lucky one to get it, right? And so when we're together in community, it becomes oh no, you can do it too, kind of like an Oprah, but Brandon's version of Oprah situation where no, 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 there's enough for everyone,
Yeah,
plenty. There's more
absolutely.
than enough healing for everybody,
Yes.
right?
I,
Right?
I, I love it. I'm gonna take a stand for women, standing up for women, period. Like no more shit talking, no more pulling each other down, no more backstabbing, none of it. I'm done. I'm done.
Exactly. I'm done too because we're hitting a new age now, right? It feels we've been told by a good friend who's also a therapist. So she's science based and woo woo based, and she's like, the shift is coming. We are in the middle of the shift towards a society that's less egocentric and more community centric about change relatively as a community versus by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Which really, if you think about it, we're going back to community because, we are tribal people from the beginning. We are people who we're humans need community. I read something that the opposite of addiction is community. Like there's, which is, isn't that crazy? Like you think addiction, you fall into isolation oftentimes. And the antidote is community.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, wow.
Right? Right? And so here's the thing,
Yeah.
though. I want to tie it back to the whole thing we were talking about being empaths. When people are in community, what happens? Everyone becomes really in tune to each other's body language, energy, where their levels are, because the community has to be cohesive to succeed and to expand and to grow, correct? So empaths are going to become the norm as we become more community based. There is a difference, and this is because Brandon and I are trauma informed, right? So we will delineate the difference, folks, between being a person who's an empath tuned into the community versus, so a trigger warning for some of us, right? If you grew up in an abusive household, you were empathic to people around you who were in charge of you because you were a little kid. You needed to avoid being in trouble at all costs. Okay. This is not normal. I'm a mischievous child and I want to get away with something. This is talking about an abusive parent or caretaker. And you had to read their body language very carefully to avoid, right, being smacked or being whatever it is. So there is an overlap, folks, between being an empath, right? True empath, healed from a
Right.
place of healing, and you know where you start and where other people start, and they don't overlap per se. And someone who is really good at reading the room for safety.
Right. Right. True. True. It's become just a defense mechanism. Right. Yeah. And then sadly, there are people who just don't read the room ever. And that's also a defense mechanism, if you will. Like really, I think if they were willing to let down some of that guard, they might find that when they open their heart, they also could be empathetic as well. It's just a little scary for a lot of people
I love the way
to.
you explain that. Repeat that again because I think sometimes we're like, no, they're just an obnoxious poo poo head. No, that's not it.
No, yeah, I think that some like the our more closed down people who maybe we would see as not an empath are really just trying to protect themselves because they learned that early on that feelings hurt. Having feelings hurt. And they're not going to do that anymore. And that was never a safe space for them, and so they shut that part of them down. Um, and that's where we, unfortunately, we come up with like narcissistic tendencies and a lot of, avoidant tendencies, things like that, or, which really is just a protection mechanism, just like most of the other,
Yes.
behaviors that we develop.
Yes, well, we all have protection mechanisms, right? A backup on backup systems of keeping
Yeah.
ourselves safe, especially now that we're post the panini, the pandemic, right? I call it the panini. Yeah, 'cause people have different definitions of whether or not it's over, right? And so, or why it happened, etc. So, yeah, a lot of us are having a difficult time because the world now is so different from before,
It's true. That is true. Yeah. But
right?
there is a residual worldwide trauma that
Yeah.
we have.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. So now listen, the best way to contact and get in touch with Brandon is to go to www.dancingshadows.us. I'm going to repeat that again. And if you're driving, come back and write this down. Okay. Be careful. It is dancing shadows with an S dot US. Okay. So you want to do that and get on that. Is there on that page, is there a way to collect our emails for you?
Yes, there's a learn more button. You can go ahead and it'll take you to a Google form that will connect you directly with me.
That's perfect.
And let's say that we've got 4 spots left for this next retreat, and it's filling up fast. We have lovely contributors like Miss Jenny here, and a couple of other really
Yes.
special contributors. So please, like log on to the website, and you can see all the wonderful details, photos of the retreat house. It is a beautiful luxury cabin on the Welch's, I mean, up near Welch's in Oregon. It's on Mount Hood next to the Sandy River. There's a hot tub. We will have a private chef with amazing organic vegan food. She is lovely and will be cooking for us the whole time. Um, the most important part, the dancing part. Oh my gosh,
What?
what draws me to Jenny? So, Dancing Shadows is the name of my retreat, and I love to dance more than anything, probably. And I really find movement to be so critically important in the release of trauma from our bodies. And it is, I mean, when I say I go dancing, it's like that's my church. I go to do my healing on the dance floor. And so I love the idea of as we're turning towards our shadows, as we're bringing them into the fold, that we learn to dance with them.
Mhm.
And so each day there will be some sort of a movement offering. On the day that Jenny's joining us, she's going to do a movement session with us, which is going to be lovely. I love her concept of a dance to heal. It like went so hand in hand with Dancing Shadows. I was like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. So, and again, and we have another woman, Nisi, who's going to be offering us some amazing other dance classes. She's an embodiment, empowerment um, guru. She's amazing. And then on the last night, we have a big dance party, and it's lovely, and just a real celebration of all the work that we've done and the bonding that we've created. So.
That's amazing. Talk about beautiful offerings all all under one roof, like one area, right? Because usually we're trying to piecemeal these experiences together. I love this
Yep,
boutique experience you've put together, Brandon.
it
So,
really is.
right? So, we're
4 nights.
go ahead.
For like a very, very affordable rate, all inclusive, all the trainings, all everything's one price. So
That's
good to
amazing.
go.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm putting together my first retreat for my clients, and that's going to be
Hmm.
in September. And it's very different. You don't have a chef, I'm sorry, unless it's me. You want me doing the work that's being offered that retreat. So it's inspiring to be a part of this event, folks. Make sure you go to Dancing Shadows with an S dot US for information about that. This event is in April. All right, so we've run out of time. You're gonna have to come back, Boo Boo. Okay? Promise?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Yeah, I feel like then we could talk for days.
I know. So before we let you go, would you please give the audience one tidbit? What's one thing you would recommend we could do on our own until we can go to your retreat? What's one thing we could do to help us dance with our shadows?
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Well, let's see. I think one of the gosh.
So many to choose from.
Here's
Pick one.
I know, like I'm like, oh, I should put me on the spot and think about this one. Um, I think that so. A lot, you know what, when you start to feel a little bit triggered, like, you hear something happens in your life, like all of a sudden you go, oof,
Yeah.
all of a sudden your defenses come up, your cognitive thinking goes offline and you're like, oh no, like I'm going to either respond in a way that maybe I don't want to, or I'm gonna cry, or I don't know what's gonna happen right now.
Mhm.
A little trick I like to do to bring your parasympathetic nervous system back online is so it's like it really simple. It's just kind of a cranial sacral hold. So you do one hand on your chest and one hand behind your head. And you
Mhm.
can do this either sitting up or laying down in a bed. And if you're laying down, you might want to put a pillow under that elbow, and then you can get really comfortable with it. Close your eyes, and then you might be comfortable. Might have heard of box breathing before. So box breathing is another really great way to do this. So box breathing, you breathe in for four, hold for four,
Mhm.
out for four, hold for four. So I like to do this coupled with the box breathing. You do, maybe 5 to 10 rounds of that, and your nervous system will come back online, and you might then be able to think about, okay, what just happened? How may I respond to this in a bit more of a relaxed and uh, less triggered manner, and see how that works for you. Um, yeah, so that's my little trick.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. All right. Did you practice that? Don't worry. You can come back to the replays. Make sure that you share us in your stories. Tag Brandon and I. Her Instagram and my Instagram handles are in the description. We're hoping you have a great day. Thank you for coming, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Jenny. It's awesome.
We'll see y'all later. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit OutsideInRecovery.com. Are you ready to move?